Hi dear students, today I am going to discuss about Ruby laser. It is very important question for semester examination. It is in second semester wave optics in fifth unit lasers and holography. Here this question will ask in semester examination in such a way that what is Ruby laser and explain its construction and working. See this. Ruby laser. Here, what is the abbreviation of laser? Yes, that is correct. Laser means light amplification by stimulated emission of radiation. Now, here, Ruby laser. Ruby laser is the first laser device developed by T.H. Maiman in 1960. This laser is also called as solid laser or three-level laser. Here, see this. Now, working and construction of Ruby laser. First, see this construction of Ruby laser. In every laser, there are mainly three ports. See this. First port is a active working material. Second port is a resonating cavity. And third port is exciting system. Here, what is active working material? Here, active working material is ruby rod, which is in the form of crystalline. It is made up of aluminum dioxide and chromium dioxide atoms. Here, some of the aluminum dioxide atoms are replaced by chromium ions. Here, in this ruby laser, chromium ions are the active materials. Here, see this in a diagram. Observe this one. Here, see this. Here, this is the ruby rod. This ruby rod has a length 4 cm and diameter is 0.5 cm. When we add 0.5% of chromium, the ruby rod color is pink. Now this is the information about active working material of ruby rod. Now see this next one, resonating cavity. Here, what is resonating cavity and what is its need? We will discuss. Here, resonating cavity, but nothing but here the end faces of ruby rod polished and silvered in such a way that left end of the ruby rod is fully reflected end face and right end face is partially reflected. See this in diagram. Here, left end face of the ruby rod is polished and then silvered in such a way that the left end is fully reflected end face and the right end of the ruby rod is partially reflecting end face. Here, now these end faces are serves as a resonating cavity. Here, what is the need of resonating cavity? We will discuss in working of ruby laser, need of resonating cavity. Now see this. The third one is exciting system. Here, what is the exciting system we are using? Here in this, we are using xenon flash tube with power supply used as a exciting system. See this. This is the helical shaped xenon flash tube with power supply used as a exciting system. Here, this xenon flash tube gives a light to pump the chromium ions to higher energy levels. Here, this is the exciting system. And also, when this xenon flash tube gives a light, it also produces some amount of heat and heats up the apparatus, so that there are cooling arrangement also taken place. Here, see this. This is the total construction of ruby laser. Now we are going to discuss about working of the ruby laser by taking energy level diagram. Here, see this carefully. Energy level diagram. Here, see this. Now, this is the energy level diagram of chromium ions. Here, see this. Now, the chromium ions are at ground state called as E1. Now, that ions has lifetime is infinity. That means they can stay here for long time. Now, when we supply power to the exciting system, the xenon flash tube gives a light of wavelength 5500 angstrom. This wavelength of light is incident on chromium ions which are in ground state, and then these ions are absorbed energy and then goes to the higher energy level called as E3. This is also called as excited state. Here, whenever they are in excited state with energy, they are collide with each other. That is, the chromium ions are colliding with each other in higher energy level. Due to collision, some amount of energy they will lose, and they are jumps to the lower energy level called as E2. It is also named as metastable state. While they are jumping from E3 to E2, there is no any radiation released, so that this transition is named as radiationless transition. And then here, as we know that here the state metastable state has time period 10 to the power of -3 second, so that the number of ions which are in E2 state are going to be increased, while due to pumping the chromium ions from energy level E1 goes to decreases. That is, the number of ions in E2 state going to be increases, and the number of ions in E1 is going to be decreases due to pumping of the chromium ions. Here, after some time, the metastable state is also not a stable one. Here the main important thing is the number of chromium ions in E2 state is greater than the number of ions in energy level E1. That is, we achieved population inversion. Once we achieved a population inversion, then the system is ready to laser action. Here, see this. The metastable state has time period 10 to the power of -3 second. That means after completion of that time period, what happened? The chromium ions from E2 are spontaneously jumps to the state E1 by emitting a photon of wavelength 6934 angstrom. This spontaneously emitted photon is now moving through the ruby rod. See this. This photon of 6934 angstrom photon is moving along the ruby rod, and it is reflected back and forth by the fully reflected end and partially reflected end. And once it gets sufficient energy to excite the further ion which is in state E2, then it stimulates the ion. And then what happened? The chromium ion comes to the ground state by emitting a photon. Now that emitted additional photon has same wavelength as the stimulated photon of about 6934 angstrom. Here these two photons are in same phase and same in wavelength. That means the light is amplified, and these two further photons are again moving along the ruby rod and reflected back and forth, and they are again further excited and stimulate the ions which are in E2 state, and then we get further four laser beams 4 laser beams. That means laser action takes place. Whenever sufficient light is amplified inside the ruby rod, then the light is coming out from the glass tube. Here this is the laser beam of 6934 angstroms. Here this is the construction and working of ruby laser. I think all of you understand better. Now this ruby laser has some disadvantages. That is, the ruby laser requires high pumping power, and the efficiency of ruby laser is also very less, and the output of the laser beam is not a continuous. It is in the form of pulses within a microseconds, and then it is made up of a crystal, so there are some crystal imperfections. So now this is the ruby laser, its construction working. Thank you and all.